company page displays the company details entered in the company profile. Like the other modules, the lower portion is where specific contact and phone information can be entered, which in this case for the purchase order module. On the processing page, the first option shows the functional currency that was determined when the company profile was established. However, notice the field to the right called multi-currency. If the multi-currency module is installed, and if multi-currency was selected on the company profile for both common services and accounts payable, this option is automatically activated and is shown for reference purposes only. If the multi-currency module is not installed or activated for this database, the multi-currency checkbox does not appear. The rate type, to the right, determines the exchange rate type to use, as a default, as defined in the currency tables. The Allow Non-Inventory Items field determines if purchase orders can be created using items that do not exist in inventory control. This option is useful when creating purchase orders for internal items such as office supplies that are not physically stocked or sold. The Keep Transaction History option maintains transaction details of documents that have been processed in purchase orders. Although saving transaction history utilizes disk space, this option is normally selected to keep transaction details for reviewing or auditing purposes within a particular time frame. This way, purchase documents, for example, can be reprinted at any time, and transaction information can be cleared at any time, so retaining it for at least a short time can be beneficial. The default template code identifies the preferred settings when entering transactions, which can save data entry time because template codes contain specific default field settings. More on this later. If you use inventory control, use the default item cost option to select the type of cost to display when entering purchase transactions. When you enter item details, the cost associated with the item displays, but a different cost can be entered. If you do not use inventory control, the default cost will be the vendor cost entered for the item. The Post AP Batches option determines when and how vendor invoices entered in purchase orders are to update accounts payable. The options displayed here depend on how transactions are costed within inventory control. In IC options, if you elected to cost transactions immediately when the transactions are posted, then the options here are during posting or on request using Create Batch icon. If you elected to cost transactions in inventory at the end of the day using the day-end processing routine, then the options here are during day-end processing or on request using Create Batch icon. If during posting is selected here, Purchase Orders creates and posts each invoice to the vendor account immediately when it is posted within Purchase Orders. If during day-end processing is selected, Purchase Orders retains the posting of the vendor invoices temporarily until the day-end processing routine is performed. And if on request using the Create Batch icon is selected, Purchase Orders retains the processing of the vendor invoices for accounts payable temporarily until the Create Batch icon within the periodic processing icon of Purchase Orders is performed. The selection can have a large impact on the speed of processing transactions in purchase orders, as well as the number of AP batches that Purchase Orders creates. Therefore, if a substantial amount of invoices are processed for the day, it may be better to use either the during day-end processing or on request using the Create Batch icon options. The Accumulate Purchase History option indicates to keep information about the items being sold, as well as the vendor information you are purchasing from. This information can be viewed when orders are entered or on selected printed reports. The information can be saved based on a fiscal year or a calendar year, where a period can be a week, representing representing 52 periods a year, a month, representing 12 periods a year, all the way to annually, in which all purchases will be represented in a single period for the year. If selected, the Accumulate Statistics option retains purchase amount totals and dates for vendors, such as largest purchase or number of purchases for the specific period. The ability to modify statistical amounts is available by selecting the Allow Edit of Statistics option, either to establish beginning values or to make corrections. Like purchase history, statistics can be accumulated by calendar year or fiscal year, and again based on a weekly schedule all the way up to annually. When setting up a new database, you may want to allow the ability to edit the statistical amounts to establish previous period values. However, this option is not normally selected when the system is up and running because Accpac automatically updates the values as transactions are entered. But there may be times when corrections need to be made. One other point regarding history and statistics is to not change the time period from which the amounts are tracked in the middle of the accounting year. The reason is because the previous posted periods will no longer match for comparison purposes. For example, if you were tracking history or statistics monthly and then elected to change them to weekly, what was month 123 is now week 123, so future periods do not represent the same time frame as previously posted periods. The Documents page is where the document aging periods are established, to be used on specific reports, such as the Aged Purchase Order Report. The lower portion of the window determines the length of the document number for each document type, and if a prefix is needed. The system uses the designated next number as the starting point and increments from there for each document type created. The length of any document number can be up to 22 characters, including the prefix.
Now let's take a look at the General Ledger integration function.